In day one of Pandas, I told that with Pandas you could do anything with the data. So this video is going to be a proof that what I said. Without any delay, let's get started. Welcome back to my channel, Hi Ready, and in this video we are going to see part 3 of Pandas. For that, first, what I have to do is I'm loading a CSV file called student.csv. For this data set, I'll be providing a link on the description so that first you can go and download it. Now, come back to the coding environment. The first step that you have to do is loading that library called Pandas. In today's session, we are going to see selecting and filtering data using Pandas library in Python. The first step is what I said was importing the Pandas library into your coding environment. Next to that, I need to read that CSV file student.csv, right? So for that, inside a variable called df, I'm reading that CSV file using the syntax pd.readcsv. So after reading that file, I'm printing that using just calling the variable name. So this is my data. So this is actually a simple data that I created. So in this data, we just have 50 rows and 3 columns. This data set is all about the student name, age and mark sheet. Let's consider it is a mark sheet data of a college with around 50 students. It is not possible, just consider it, okay? So we just have a list of 50 students who scored 50 plus. So in this, we do have 3 columns, name, age and marks. So after reading my data set, the next thing is I could apply conditions and I can print whatever I want simply using pandas. So the syntax, whatever we are going to see is something that is very easy than any other programming language. That is why we use Python for AI data science. So if I just want to print a particular column in my data, what I have to do is I need to call the variable name inside which I read the CSV file. Next to that, I just need to call the name of the column name. So it will be printing this column name. Whatever data I have under name column. So see the syntax, how simple it is. So after printing it, if I feel like I have so many things to scroll down, when revising it would be tedious. In Collab, you have option on the left side, right? Show or hide output. You can click on that, it will be hiding the output. So next, if I just want to print a particularly a 2 column, what I have to do is inside df, I'll be opening square bracket. Then I'll be opening another square bracket because I'm calling 2 columns here. When I need to print 2 or more columns using df, I mean in pandas, what I have to do is I just need to use 2 open and close square brackets. Even if I give 3 columns, I need to use the same syntax. If I try to print 2 columns, name and marks, see the output, it got printed. But see how simple the syntax is. The mistakes that you could potentially make is instead of square bracket, you might possibly use normal parenthesis and closing parenthesis, normal brackets. So you should avoid that mistake. So if I want to print that column 2 additionally, what I have to do is I need to add that column 2, the age. So one thing that you need to observe is it printed in a format, it got printed in a format name, marks and age. But look into the actual data. We created this data in a format of name, age and marks. But how the changes were made? It is simple. When calling the data based on how I call the column names, as per the arrangement, it will get printed. If I called in the format of name, age and marks, it will be printed in the format as it is. But I called in the format name, marks and age. So as per your requirement, you could call it accordingly. Now you could hide the output. If I just want to print my data as per the index of the row, the simple syntax that you have to use is df of open close square bracket, then you need to use the index value. So 0 to 3. When I give the index value, it will be printing my starting index to ending index minus 1. So here I have specified the index value as 0 to 3. So see what it got printed, 0 to 2. So 3 minus 1 is of course it's 2. So it printed 0 to 2 index rows. So if I want to apply any conditions to whatever I have as the data, it is simple using pandas. First, I'm calling the data frame inside which I'm opening and closing a square bracket. Inside that square bracket, I need to specify a condition. So for that condition, I need to call that data frame again because in that whole data frame, I'm calling a particular column marks. So in that marks too, I'm just trying to print the data if that marks is greater than 85. So here I'm applying a condition. In Python, this is called as conditional filtering. So conditional filtering means selecting only those rows from a data frame that satisfy a given condition that you specify. So if student's mark is greater than 85, then all that data will get printed. So in this given data, from 35th index to last, the students who scored 85 got printed because it is the marks is actually in the ascending order. That is why it is printed in that format. If it is not in the ascending order, it will not be in this format. It might be like 2, second index, 5th index, 7th index, some random index. In some random index, the student's mark who got 85 might be there, right? So in this particular data, as marks is on ascending order, so that is why from 35 to 49, every data continuously got printed. So if I give 90 here, so the values from the index value of 40 will get printed because 90 will not be taken into consideration because it is greater than 90 and not greater than or equal to 90. So this is how the output looks like. If I want to apply a similar condition but for age, in this data, age is not in the ascending order, only marks is in the ascending order. So that is why look at the index 2, 3, 7, 8. So all these data which has age greater than or equal to 21 and 22. So in my particular data set, we just have age 19, 20, 21 and 22, 18 to 22. So the names with age greater than 21 and 22, 21 or greater than 21. So it is obviously 21 and 22. So all these values got printed. Next, label based selection. We have a function in Pandas called df.lock. So location based applying conditions. It is also called as label based condition. So based on the column names, if I apply a condition, that is called as label based selection. So here I'm calling df.lock. Then I'm giving the index value as 0 to 3. So when I specify the condition, along with that, if I give row name, row index value inside df.lock. If I just give index, it will print values from starting index to ending index -1. If I along with this index, if I specify a condition, only these columns need to be printed. What Pandas will do is it will print from starting index to ending index without reducing the one row for last row. It will print from 0 to 3 exactly. It will not print 0 to 1 as similar to how it printed for df of 0 to 3. So I have applied this condition to name and marks column by specifying it this way. df.lock of open and close square bracket inside which I specify 0 to 3. Next to that, give comma, open square bracket and a close square bracket inside which I'll be calling the exact column names that I want to print. So in these two columns, specifically, I want to print these 4 rows. 0 to third index rows. So if I give 7, it will print from 0 to 7th index rows. So if I want to apply particularly in 2 columns, if I want to apply a condition, that is also possible. What you have to do is, after using df.lock, you have to open and close a square bracket inside which you should use df of marks less than 80. So after that, give a comma, call the column names inside square bracket again. So the output would be Students scored marks less than 80, their name and marks will get printed. So inside df.log, we are applying filtering and conditioning statements. I mean conditions. So you can hide out. Next to that, just by looking at it, don't get confused. It's easy. So I'm just giving the index value for row and columns. So 0 to 3 is actually a row index and 0 to 2 is actually a column index. As I didn't apply any condition here, so for the last index, it reduced the last row and last column. So that is why it printed 0 to 2 and 0 to first index columns and 0 to second index rows. So if I specifically want to print an element based on index of rows and columns, that is possible using Pandas. The simple syntax that you could use is df.ilog. It is not dot log, it is ilog. So here also we used a function called ilog, not dot log. So there is a difference between log and ilog. In log only, if I give an index, it will print exactly from starting index to ending index. It will not remove the additional rows. But in ilog, it will remove the last row and last column. So if I give like this 1 and 2, so the value on the first row and the value on the second column will get printed. Let's go back to that. So the output that we got is 52. Let's go back to that first table that we stored and see if it is right or wrong. So here the row on the 0th index is around 19 and 51. So for first index we have biology 20 and 52. So they gave column as 2, right? So name is the 0th column and age is the first column and marks is the second column. So as per the condition 1, 2, 52 is there. See? So that is what we got as output for df.ilog of 1, 2 inside square brackets. So for today, we have a simple task. First task is select and print age column. The second task is filter students with marks less than 80. The third task is use log, not ilog, use log to show name and age where age is greater than 20. The fourth task is use ilog to display first 2 rows. So for today, this is the task. If you completed the task, come back to this video and comment completed the task. Bye for now. We'll meet you on the next video. So if you have any doubts, without hesitation, drop them in the comments.